Hello and welcome back to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle. This week's episode is gonna get a little controversial for those that are hardcore fans, but I'm gonna tell you why I do not advocate for doing keto. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. Yep, I said it. Don't do keto. Do not do keto. And I personally, if you've heard or read about my story, have not done keto throughout this entire journey. I may have had a keto-like, insert finger quotes here, a keto-like meal here and there, but it's not been consistently ketogenic on my weight loss method. So we're going to get a little bit controversial, so keep an open mind. I'm going to encourage you to, if you're a hardcore keto fans or if you're wanting to learn a little bit more, we're going to talk about it here this week. So I definitely advocate for not doing keto because of many factors I'm going to talk about. So I want to ask you first, do you actually know the origins of keto? Because ketogenic, the way of eating in general, started originally as a pediatric treatment for epilepsy and cancers that began in the 20s and 30s as an alternative to mainstream fasting, which before that was very commonplace all throughout history. If you're a history buff or you know the origins of fasting and how it's been practiced in ancient Greek times of Hippocrates and Ayurvedic medicines, but in the 20s and 30s, with the introduction of the pharmaceutical industry as we know it, I'm going to whisper it, big pharma, right? Big brother pharma. The introduction of those pharmacological products and interventions only had about a 20 to 30% success rate, while fasting and dietary interventions began to be phased out because of the recommendations and really the propaganda that was being pushed out by these companies to be a replacement treatment for what was already well known before that with using fasting as just a commonplace way of healing the body and many other things that have just been so commonplace before that. Like I said, with times of ancient Greek medicine with Hippocrates, Ayurvedic medicine, it was just a very common healing tool with fasting. And according to a medical journal by Dr. Mandel, in the early 20th century, Hugh Conklin introduced fasting as a treatment for controlling epilepsy. His epileptic patients were put on a water diet, aka fasting, which he reported, cured 90% of these children with the condition and 50% of adults. An analysis of the study that was performed later showed that, in fact, 20% of Conklin's patients became seizure-free, while 50% demonstrated some improvement. So collectively, that's 70%. And fasting therapy was soon adapted as part of mainstream therapy for epilepsy. But 1916, Dr. McMurray reported the New York Medical Journal that he had successfully treated epileptic patients by prescribing a fast, followed by a diet free of starch and sugar since 1912. So you have that understanding that fasting is a healing tool, and it's been known throughout human history. Fasting is a healing tool, but also understanding that the foods that we are eating can absolutely make a difference. And as we get further along in history, we start to see the introduction of more processed foods. And that's where we start to see the increase with health disorders, with obesity, obviously type 2 diabetes. But in a nutshell, y'all, because of course keto works, but keto works because it's fasting mimicking. Keto is effective in the short term, y'all, just short term, right? because of its ability to induce ketosis. But the keto diet and lifestyle is extremely, extremely taxing on the kidneys and should not be done long term. All right. So we know if you've done keto, I've done keto before finding fasting. The side effects, most of us know, one of the most common side effects that I get asked about a lot because just sharing my results and people just thinking that because I've done fasting, I had to have done keto, which I haven't. Significant hair loss I've experienced before trying fasting, before discovering fasting. Fatigue, really just general fatigue in general, feeling like these keto products that are just everywhere you go to buy food, you see these keto products everywhere. But these products are not bringing the attention to the eating patterns of our triggers, our hunger pangs, food cravings, and with these ketogenic protocols and structured ways of eating, I've seen and consulted with so many folks that say they've done keto. And, like I said, I did keto before with a partially ketogenic meal replacement weight loss program. And the folks that I would consult when I was a coach for that program, I would talk to folks on a very consistent, regular basis about the exhaustion they would have with the food choices that they had to choose from. It's extremely limited, but the products that are out there, additionally, they don't address the core problem with eating that a lot of us face, with the emotional, hormonal attachment to feeling like we need to have our snacks, need to have a sweet treat, need to have these things that we're constantly craving. And these products that are sold, these keto products that fall into the keto guidelines, they're pacifying a need. They're meeting your hormonal, emotional needs, cravings, tastes to really give you permission to continue the poor eating habits that you had before. So you see all these shakes and bars and powders, meals, and just meal things that you add to what meal plan that you're doing with keto. They don't address the core problem with the eating all day. So, if you've done keto, or maybe you're trying to break away from keto right now, that, the products that they've got out there, I'm not going to name any brands because I don't feel like that's helpful in just, dogging on specific products. But if you go into any grocery store, any really place that you buy food or products for keto, you're going to see bars, breakfast items, dinner, desserts, all these things, even to ice cream. So if we think I'm not going to name labels or anything, but you see in the ice cream, all right, ice cream is what I would consider personally a sometimes food. So if you are saying this product is keto, it's a keto ice cream, and it's something that you make a habitual product to consume on a regular basis, what are you teaching yourself to your inner behavioral hormonal brain that it's okay to have ice cream because it's keto? It falls in the keto standards. Really, if it wasn't keto, would you be having ice cream every single day? Would you be integrating these bars and treats on a regular basis? Probably not. Additionally, these ketone bodies, when we are in a state of ketosis, they're made of these 3 water-soluble compounds: acetone, beta-hydroxybutyrate, and acetoacetate. They are produced by the liver when the bodily fuel, glucose, is in short supply. So these ketone bodies are made from the breakdown of fats. But the process of ketosis and keto way of eating works because it allows the body to use fat, its main source of fuel, instead of the glucose. But again, super important I'm going to repeat it again. Keto is fasting mimicking, but you are still eating all day. And with that way of life, way of eating, you cannot burn body fat while eating. So it's on the same level as that overly overly caloric restrictive way of eating. You're still eating your breakfast. You're still, I've heard lots of people, they have their keto breakfast and then their snack and then their keto lunch and then a snack in between and then their keto dinner and then snack dessert. Maybe that keto ice cream. Are you really fixing the initial core problem of that emotional attachment, hormonal cravings, hunger pangs to food? The body typically runs on stored glucose, so we know the food fuel that we eat in the form of glycogen. But fats, y'all, and I've said this before, fats are absolutely the most efficient form of fuel for the body. And to get super nerdy here, because some of y'all appreciate it, and y'all, my people, fats have 9 kilocalories per 1 gram, right? So every 1 gram of fat, you have 9 kilocalories of fuel for the body versus carbohydrates and protein. Each of those only give the body 4 kilocalories of energy. So you think about it, your body loves and will absolutely be more efficient utilizing fats as its main form of fuel. But it does not make a difference whether it's dietary fats or the fat that is stored on your body. And y'all, I've said this before, you are either storing fat or you are burning it, and you can't burn and store at the same time. It does not work that way. When you are using glucose, that initial form of fuel from the foods that you're eating, it is typically a very quick, rapid burn of energy. So you imagine lighting something cheap, artificial processed on fire. So imagine you have a styrofoam plate, right? And you're setting your little bonfire thing up. It's going to engulf in flames really quickly and then dissipate just as quick. So you think about all these keto bars and ultra processed foods. I call them frankenfoods because, they're not recognizable at all in your body. Your body has to work tremendously hard to break these down for fuel. This quick burst of energy sends these signals to your body to where you're going to be up and down, yo-yoing all day. That's where fatigue, where I mentioned earlier, that fatigue is going to kick in, and that up and down of your insulin, blood glucose spikes up and down. So when it spikes really high, the body compensates. So you think about a scale. If you press too hard, it's going to pull back. And that up and down of your insulin and blood sugar all day is going to cause you to dip well below your homeostatic threshold. And when you dip below your threshold, your body sends you every sign of duress as possible to get you back up to where you were. So all those cravings and, oh my gosh, I need this, or oh, I need to have something else, or the cravings that we experience is derived from the food that we're eating that causes these spikes, especially if it's not something that has a good amount of quality fats. So if you are consuming something that, for example, like an avocado or a handful of nuts, you're not going to get nearly as significant as a spike in your blood sugar as you would if you had one of those ketogenic bars, even a piece of toast or whatever. You're going to get so many more hunger pangs, super high blood sugar. And then, many of us have I've experienced it firsthand as well, that food coma, that slump that you get in the afternoon after having a meal. I've even seen and heard about folks having that slump after your morning breakfast, breakfast sandwich or whatever that you're eating. When the body uses fat as fuel, it is a slow, long burn, and you're able to keep your satiety to a much longer duration of time. Again, and it doesn't matter whether it's your dietary fat that you're consuming or the consumption that your body's doing naturally when you're in a fasted state of your body fat. And again, keto is fasting mimicking. So if it's fasting mimicking, why not just do fasting instead? And if you're listening to this, I hope you've got that understanding and mindset already that you do not need to do keto. You do not need to do keto because honestly, and this is my opinion, you can educate yourself and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I feel, my personal opinion, fasting is absolutely superior to keto in so many ways. Predominantly above all, and I'm going to tie it back to what I was talking about before with when I was a weight loss coach for this program that was partial meal replacements. And, one of the things that I remember doing personally myself, so I'm, identifying and calling out old Vicky, right? This is before pre-fasting Vicky. And these ketogenic based meal replacement products, they don't teach you long-term how to really think about the quality of fuel and food that you're putting in your body. For example, this one product, I remember my late husband and I, we used to get all the time whenever new products would be coming into the office that I would be consulting at. And they were initially like frosted Rice Krispie treats. And because of the way that they fell into the structure of the program, you could have them 3 times a day and it would still be, permissible. It would still be allowed on the program. Like, think about that for a second. This keto-based meal replacement, partial meal replacement program allowed you to have a frosted Rice Krispie treat for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. The snacks in between, I don't remember how many of these products a day, but think about that in a long-term sense. Is this really what you want to have for long-term success, for long-term lasting results? Y'all, we need to think about the relationship that we have with our food and breaking away from these quick fixes, these fads, these gimmicks, and, just shortcuts to the finish line. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, but savoring the journey and bringing the attention back to you, to your thoughts, to your feelings on foods that you like, and making these commonsensical choices of, I don't say good or bad food. I say food is food. Again, like I said, food doesn't give a care. Like, either way, food is food, whether it's ultra processed Frankenfood or real, authentic food grown by, Joe Bob farmer up the road that you're getting from the farmer's market. Understanding the quality of the food matters, and that these all the time versus these sometimes foods, the quality and timing of these are essential and can make the difference to these lasting long-term results. So you're not dependent on these ultra processed manufactured foods while doing this ketogenic kind of program that, again, I do not advocate for. However, like, if you wanted to, totally fine if you want to think about why keto is effective and integrate maybe a meal a week here and there that has properties and traits of ketogenic eating. That's cool. Like, I've done that to an effect here and there. And it's just really, it's keeping the carbohydrate consumption down. But don't eliminate it, y'all, because and I remember very much how just this doesn't make any sense. Looking at these food lists, y'all, if there's anything that makes me just cringe, if the thing that makes me cringe when I think back about my time coaching on this keto program was the restrictive food lists and how they didn't advocate for potatoes, for sweet potatoes, for berries, and just real food. Y'all, of course we're not going to just allow ourselves to have bread and pasta to an infinite amount when we're in our eating window. Obviously, that's just kind of common sense. But understanding that a lot of foods in their natural state do have some natural form of carbohydrates. And that's fine. It absolutely should be fine because that ties into the amount of fiber that we need. And y'all, I might do an episode in the future on why fiber, why we need fiber and carbohydrates and all that stuff, in real unprocessed as possible form. But eliminating potatoes because they're not keto, don't do if you want, honestly, side note, I'm full of tangents today. I apologize because this is lighting a fire under my ass right now. But recently, like within the past, I don't know, because it's like a seasonal thing and potatoes are, I love potatoes. I'm part Irish, so I have like a deep pull to just have potatoes. We have potatoes, honestly, real talk. We have potatoes probably almost every single night for dinner. And my kids love them. I obviously love potatoes. So if you are like me and love potatoes, have the damn potatoes. Like, eat them, enjoy them, but pair them up with things that you know are going to complement what your long-term goals are, what you enjoy eating. Obviously leaning more towards like your all-the-time foods. And also, like I said, if you want to have these starches, carbohydrates, pastas, breads, I've mentioned it before in different outlets and avenues, but the timing of the consumption of your carbohydrates can truly make a difference. And if you think about when you are in that eating window, if you have all your protein, your dietary fats at the beginning of your meal or eating window and save the consumption of the carbohydrates, pastas, breads, whatever, desserts, even alcohol, to the very end of your eating window, you're going to be way more successful. And there's information out there, and I've shared videos and whatnot before with how Dr. Jason Fung talks about this as well. The timing of what you eat can make a tremendous difference in maintaining your long-term results on this journey. So again, to wrap it all up, I'm telling you guys, like, you don't need to do keto. If you have felt that you are just spinning your wheels doing keto, if you feel that keto fatigue, keto burnout, if you've had tremendous hair loss and you're like, I can't do this anymore, I'm sick of the consistent food choices that I don't like, I'm sick of the foods, whatever, I'm telling you, you can be successful with fasting because, again, I said keto is fasting mimicking. Why take the shortcut when the long, deliberate, conscious, bodily instinctive route is going to provide you with so much more lasting, permanent changes? Because that's what we want, right? Think about, you're not just changing your body shape physiology. You're changing and adjusting, recalibrating, fixing, repairing your relationship with food, with the choices that you make when you are shopping in the grocery store. My mindset and the way that I shop has completely changed before. I don't feel the desire, the pangs, the urge to get these treats and snacks. And my likes now for like my sometimes foods, they've shifted so much, so far from even back to when I first started fasting. Let this process reveal so much more curiosity, excitement for the process of this healing, this recalibration and restoration that's happening within you. And no, you do not need to do keto. So don't feel like you need to do keto, all right? Trust me. I know you can do this. I truly believe in every single one of you. So believe me when I say you don't need to do keto. You can do this. You can be an after. I believe in you, even if you don't. If you need supportive coaching on your journey, if you need advice, guidance on ways of eating, dietary choices, and how to make those switches over time, I'm here, I care, and I want to help. TheFastingFocusLifestyle.com has my calendar ready and available to book a time when you're ready to. I'm here, I care, and I know you can do this. I believe in every single one of you, even if you don't. I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I'll see you again next time. The Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. Copyright 2023. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you.